Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Speak Honest. I am Jenn Noble, your go-to relationship coach and author of the best-selling book, Dance of Attachment. And today's episode, I am so excited to have on someone that I look up to so much, someone I consider a dear friend. And today I am joined by Hal Eisenberg. Hal is an award-winning social worker, an educator, an author, and the founder of the Eisenberg Leadership Solutions. For more than 25 years, Hal has literally dedicated his life to helping so many people recognize their worth, help them find their voice, and create meaningful impact in their communities. And today we are going to be talking about so much, but we're going to be talking about his book, Whispers in the Rain, and his upcoming Impact Tour, a unique experience centered around storytelling and connection and healing and community, something that I get to be a part of in New York in June. I'm just so excited to have you on. Hal, welcome to the show. Say hi, introduce yourself.
Thank you, Jen, so much. I am so excited to be here. I have been following you and your show, and yeah, this is like surreal for me. I'm like, oh my God, I'm on your show. This is so cool.
I'm so excited to have you on. Now, you and I first got to meet in person back in November of last year during the LA tour for Lucky Book Publishing, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
and I just
absolutely.
felt like your energy, I connected with instantly. Like, if anything, though, I would say we have very different energies. Like, I'm very energetic and big and bubbly, and you bring this sense of just calming to the group that I immediately just gravitated toward. My husband said the same thing. You were like his favorite part of the whole weekend. He was like, Hal's a great guy. So
That's so funny.
I just loved getting to know you, meet you. But tell me a little bit more about how you got into writing your book, Whispers in the Rain, with Lucky Book Publishing.
So that's such a loaded story. That it could take up like your whole entire show, but I'll try to like keep a short version of it. So like most people in the world, I had gone through lots of ups and downs and, a lot of traumatic experiences growing up as a child. And I've always found a lot of peace in writing. I was the kid that would carry, even though I was homeless on the street, I would still carry like a little steno pad and just, write my feelings, and like a lot of people in society, I forgot the exact statistic. I think, 95% of people who want to write a book don't write a book. Right. So I always said I wanted to write a book. So I went off on this path at a certain juncture in this journey. And I said, I need to write this book called Beautiful Souls. And the idea behind that book was, everybody I met is a beautiful soul and has, inspired my story. Well, that was a disaster. I loved the book, but I had no guidance, like no support, no real writing training. I thought I was good, but I was like, so it took me about 6 years to get Beautiful Souls out there. And it became a 4-book series. And after that, I said, I'm never going to write ever again. It's like,
yeah,
I'm done. I was
too
like,
much. I'm out. See ya.
I'm out. I was like, I did it.
What
I
brought
became
you
part
back
of that.
in then? What happened?
So what happened was I had this ridiculous, I say ridiculous, but everything in the universe happens for a reason. I really believe that. 7 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer. And the same month I was diagnosed with cancer, I met this amazing, beautiful human being who became a teacher, a mentor, just this really incredible spirit. And it was really crazy because, I had this moment where the doctor said, you have 4 months to live, 7 years ago, right? And then right after that, I met this human being, and I was like, no, I don't want 4 months to live. I want a lifetime to live, because this person was a beautiful soul, and 2, I was like, there's got to be other beautiful souls out there. I just want to experience life. So this set me on this journey of trying to really discover what love was about, this journey to enlightenment, this spirituality journey that really opened up a lot of doors for me. And I started to write. And when I wrote, some of my experiences and lessons, I said to the universe, I said, listen, universe, I've got this, what seems like a book. I'm putting it on my Google Drive, but if you want me to release this book, you're going to have to prove to me beyond a shadow of a doubt that you want this book out there, right? So I joke, be careful what you say to the universe, because it was like God or whatever you believe in said, okay, Hal, game on.
I love that.
So a year later, I'm in Toronto, right? One of my favorite places on the planet. And I'm about to go to the airport. And my friend says, before we go to the airport, can we stop at this conference? So I get to this conference and there's a little icebreaker activity going on. Look for somebody around the room that you want to introduce yourself to, right? By the way, this is a year after I finish writing this latest book.
Wow.
So I had put it on the drive. I made my declaration to the universe, right? So a year later, so I'm at this conference and I scope the room and I see this person with positive energy. I said, I want to go speak to that person. And I literally don't know what made me say this. Jen, I go up to this person and I say, my name's Hal. I'm a failed author. Yeah.
I love that though. I love the realness of that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't know where it came from. So word vomit after that. I just, blah, 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 because I love to talk, right? Everything about beautiful souls and all the mistakes and da-da-da. And I caught myself in the middle of that. And I said, oh my God, I'm sorry. Like, this is supposed to be a two-way conversation. I'm like, what's your name? And she smiles and she goes, my name is Samar. I own a publishing company. And it was Lucky Book Publishing. So 3 months later, I was signed to Lucky Book Publishing. A month after that,
fantastic.
Whispers in the Rain was a bestseller.
You didn't even go up to their booth. Like, you just happened to run into Samar.
I just happened
randomly. That is actually really fun then. Yeah. And Hal, do you mind if I ask, at this point in time, you said this is a year after you had kind of written Whispers in the Rain, or is this a year after? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it was a year after I wrote Whispers in the Rain.
So at this point in time, if I'm not mistaken, if it's okay if I bring that up, you
Sure.
are already well past the point they also told you that you had to live. Is that correct?
Yeah. The doctors had 4 months to live. This is 7 years later. Almost 7 years later. Yeah.
That's what. Was there any part of that story like that you wanted to share a little bit more about? Like, how did it go from 4 months to you being who you are today? I didn't know this about you.
Yeah,
I knew that I knew your cancer story, and I've read your book, Whispers in the Rain, which, by the way, anyone listening, it is a really beautiful, spiritual, artistic book. In a world where AI is running rampant on everything, and I get it, it is a breath of fresh air to be able to read Hal's words and you just feel like his energy, his soul behind them, if that makes sense. So I've read that. I've read some of your story, but I don't think I realized this connection of, wait, what are you still doing here? This is so great.
Yeah. I wasn't supposed to be. I joked that I think I'm a cat. Or a cat in a former life. But that scares me also because my 9 lives have to be almost up. So
we're at 8 by now. Okay, we're going to take good care of you in New York. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. The cancer journey is wild. When I was dying December of 2018, when they did the scans, they compared it to a scan in 2016. 2016, I was in the hospital for kidney stones, and they thought there was a small stone that was going to pass on its own. When they compared the 2 scans, they realized that what they had diagnosed as a kidney stone was actually originally a tumor in my bladder, right? By the time 2018 came, it was the size of an orange. But here's like where the universe is really, even back then in retrospect, the doctor said, oh, the tumor is protected. It's got all this stuff around it. It hasn't grown into the cells yet. We don't know how that hasn't happened. So they did the surgery. They said 4 months to live. They couldn't get it all. I changed doctors. I went on 6 weeks of treatment. And then they said I was cancer free. So I was like, okay, cool. That was weird. That was a blip. That was a couple of months
for you.
Yeah. Wow. About 8 months later, just randomly one night in my home, I collapsed and it was kidney stones again. And the doctor said, because what happened is it was such a blip that I was like, that's weird. I didn't even tell anybody I was diagnosed with cancer. I had met this beautiful soul, so we're rocking the world, we're rocking life, we're like becoming like a power team, we're doing like really cool stuff. So I was like, I'm not even gonna tell anybody I had cancer because it's nothing, right? Went back to the unhealthy eating, unhealthy habits, unhealthy emotions that weren't processed. So when I collapsed, the doctor said, well, you know what? We got to go inside. We got to take these stones out because there was 2 big stones that were fused together. He said, we'll do a biopsy just to make sure, you're due for a biopsy anyway. We'll make sure that, there's no cancer there. Well, it came back that the cancer had come back. Okay. So I don't know if I was actually ever really clean. And I just said, it was just like another misdiagnosis. Who knows? But then that woke me up, right? Because it was already almost a year past the 4 months, right? And so at that point, I was like freaking out. I was like, okay, like now I'm really dying. Like this is like, who am I, and what do I do? And I want to live, right? Um, and I spent a lot of time diving into those questions. Who am I? What am I about? I feel like I went across the planet to try everything. And I have tried everything from the craziest concepts out there, because Western medicine was getting me like really upset, right?
I could see
And
that.
and nothing against Western medicine, because Western medicine, I know, has its place and, does some really amazing, miraculous stuff. But I started searching Eastern medicine, and I believe, and I wrote about this in Whispers of Rain, there needs to be a marriage between Western and Eastern medicine.
One of my favorite things actually you talked about in there is that I have this huge thing where I'm very holistic and natural and crunchy, as my son calls me. But like, yeah, I'm not opposed to like tossing back some antibiotics, when I get a UTI or something like that. So like,
Sure.
I get the need, and I agree. There's this need for this balance, this almost kind of collaboration between the two types of medicine, if we can do that. So I love to hear your story in terms of you had all of this. They're telling you it's gone. They're telling you it's back. Like, who knows what's going on? So of course you're going to start researching and looking into other things. I'd love to know, what's like the craziest thing you tried?
The craziest. I'm so glad you asked me that question, because I love telling this story. Everyone makes fun of me for this, right? But I honestly think it's one of the major things that probably saved my life. Everyone says, what saved your life or what got rid of the cancer? And I can't say what one thing got rid of the cancer, because I think it was this holistic, spiritual, mental, dietary. I think it was everything, together, and mindset, really believing that I was going to heal. I think that's what got rid of the cancer. But so we're at year maybe 4 or 5 at this point, ups and downs, tons of surgeries, lots of bleeding, lots of blood clots, I've been through everything imaginable. I also did chemotherapies. I did, different trial drugs that didn't work. So to tell the craziest thing, I got to pre-tell, a little bit of this part. Believe it or not, isn't the craziest thing I did, but I was working with this amazing, like, holistic person that was, I'm trying to think of the name of the medicine. A lot of like homeopathic. It was like homeopathic,
Okay.
like meds. Okay. And I loved her. She, if I had a cold, she knew how to get rid of the cold, right? Like she was awesome. So she says, I want you to speak to this shaman in England, in the UK. And I said, okay, sure. Like, I trust you, right? So shaman and I like really hit it off. The guy was into music, I think he was a self-proclaimed shaman though. Like, I don't know if he was like the real deal.
Yeah, I don't actually know what makes a shaman, so that's a really good point. But yeah, it's like, how actually do you become a shaman? Is it like a coach?
Yeah.
You just say you are one, and then
Yeah.
I say that as a coach. So.
And he told me, oh, Hal, you have the makings of a shaman. That's why I don't really believe that he was a real shaman, because I don't like, is it like, you take the rod and you like both shoulders and be like,
is that like the actual?
No,
okay.
I actually don't know.
Is that like knighting someone? Yeah.
Like knighting somebody, like you are now a shaman. So he said to me, I'm going to send you long distance healing, which I believe in Reiki. I believe in those type of healings. But he says to me, I need you to dress all in white, and I need you, on Saturday morning at this time to call me, let me know that you're dressed in all white. I didn't even I had white t-shirts, but I had to go out and buy white track pants, white socks, like. And he's like, and he goes, and you're going to meditate. And he's like, I'm going to send you healing, but you have to be in white. That alone sounded pretty, but hey, at this point, I am desperate, right?
We're trying anything now. That's fine.
We're going to try anything. So I call him Saturday morning. He says to me, he says to me, all right, he's like, I'll call you in a couple of hours. Go meditate. I sit on the couch. I fall asleep. I'm exhausted. He calls me a couple hours later. I don't want to tell him that I fell asleep, right? Like that I was not meditating, right? And he says to me, he goes, you're healed. So, well, cool. I don't feel healed, right? I'm like, okay, cool. So I was like, all right, I don't know if this is really working, right? And he goes, but this is where it connects to the craziest thing. He goes, I got a download while I was healing you. He goes, He goes, this is going to sound crazy. He goes, so before you say anything, he goes, I just really want you to think about this for a while and then we'll talk about it more. And I said, okay. And he goes, he goes, I got to download that you need to go see this medicine man in Mexico and he's going to heal you using snake venom. Okay.
Yeah, that's...
Thank you. Click. All right. So I call my homeopathic who I love. We had a good relationship. And I said, yo, who did you send me to? I really like this guy, but what?
Yeah, what scam is he trying to pull right now?
What is he trying to pull, right? So she laughs and she's like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, no, it's cool. A few months go by and I'm at work one day and I go into the bathroom. Now, to paint this scene for you, like I have to explain that when you have surgeries on your bladder has a very weak lining on the inside. So it takes a very, very, very long time to heal. So the slightest thing, picking up something heavy, will stress, could break open the lining. You start bleeding inside the bladder. Cancer also bleeds inside the bladder. So you don't know which is which.
Okay.
And then it clots, and not to be gross. I hope that can be open on the show.
No, please.
But then,
this is good.
When you go to urinate, you can't because the clot can't get through, right? So that's when you get rushed back into surgery, into hospitals, into catheters. It's a whole ordeal. So painful. I've always been blessed that when these moments happen, not that it doesn't sound like there's any blessings when that happens to a guy, right? But I've always been blessed that it's always happened when I'm home or in the evening. I don't know why it always worked out. But this one particular incident, I go into the staff bathroom here at the school and it happens. It happens in the staff bathroom.
No.
And my heart starts racing and I start getting anxious. I'm not usually an anxiety-ridden person, but my blood pressure's going up. I'm freaking out and the clot comes out. And there's blood all over the bathroom floor. And I'm embarrassed, ashamed, feeling vulnerable, freaking out. And it's Memorial Day. It's the Thursday before Memorial Day weekend. So at that point, I'm in the bathroom and I'm like, God, I give up. Like at this point, I've been fighting this for years. The doctors wanted to do a whole gigantic surgery. They didn't think I could beat the cancer. They wanted to take the bladder out. They wanted me to live on tubes for the rest of my life. And I'm like, I'm too young to live on tubes. And my gut kept saying, do not give in to the surgery. In that moment, I was about to give in to the surgery. Yeah. And I was like, God, listen, I can't do this anymore. If I'm supposed to have the surgery, I'm going to go have the surgery. I call my boss. He says, get out of here. Go home, right? I didn't even know if I could drive home. So I'm trying to call my doctor, figuring he's going to tell me, I'll meet you at the hospital and we're going to do the surgery, right? I can't get him on the phone because it's Memorial Day weekend, and I'm like calling, I'm leaving messages, calling the operator, whatever. I said, tell him it's an emergency. I really need to speak to him. I don't know what to do. So I'm sitting in my car and I'm like, what do I do? And I just get this download to just go home, relax, just take a few breaths. So I go home and I'm still freaking out. And I'm sitting on my couch and I'm like, I'm going to call my homeopathic. Like, she always knows how to calm me down. She's cool. So I call her up and she said, Hal, why don't you try calling the Venom guy?
Oh, the guy in Mexico? We're going
The guy in Mexico. And I said, what? The Venom guy? Like, are you crazy? And she's like, well, she goes, I'm not saying to go to Mexico. She goes, maybe he has an idea. Maybe he has a suggestions. She's like, we joked him off. We laughed him off, but you haven't tried that yet.
What do you got to lose at this point in time? It almost feels like.
What do I have to lose?
What do you have to lose? Yeah.
So I call him. He calls me back right away. Super nice guy. I'm still very weirded out by the whole thing. And he goes, listen, I happen to be coming up near the U.S. border. He goes, I never come into the U.S. He tells me his whole story. He's an American doctor that went to Mexico years ago, fell in love with his wife. He, started studying all these medicines down there, all these alternative medicines. That's how he fell into snake fit, yada, yada, yada. I'm still not buying it. not buying it at all, right?
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. But again, you're kind of in this state of like, okay, but what are we doing?
I'm like desperate. My doctor isn't calling me up. What do I do, right?
You're bleeding like on the floor in your bathroom, and your doctor's not answering you. You've been dealing with cancer now for how long? What are we at now? Like
we're at like maybe 4 or 5 years at this point, and at this point, I'm kind of like giving up. Like I talked this big game about how I beat cancer and everything. But at this point, I'm at my wit's end. There's a lot of roller coaster emotion. And I do this deep self-development work. There's been some really amazing, beautiful, gifted people that have awakened so much in me through the years. And then I took those lessons and every day I really work on trying to be the best versions of me. But there are days where I don't show up as the best version of me, right? And that day was definitely one of those days for sure.
That's
I was like,
fair.
Right? I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Done. Whatever you want, I'm giving it. Right. And he says, I'm going to be near the border in San Diego. Why don't you come across the border? He's like, I'll give you a treatment. I'm like, it's Memorial Day weekend. The flights are going to be in the thousands. There's no way I'm flying into San Diego. Right. From that point on, how the universe lined everything up. I went on Priceline. I found a flight Memorial Day weekend from New York to San Diego for $250.
No way. Listen, I'm trying to fly out to New York right now from San Francisco, and I would never be able to find a flight that cheap.
Right?
Wow.
I'm like, what? I'm like, so next thing I know, I'm on a plane. And in the every step of the way, I'm like, Hal, you are out of your mind. You are out of your mind. So he was like,
can I ask you a question, Hal? Is that okay?
Sure.
Is there
please.
just like something inside of you? Because you mentioned this before about like trying to trust your gut and trying to trust your instinct. Is there kind of this knowing that's around you whilst logically you're looking back on it in your human form type thing and you're like, this is ridiculous. Anyone thinking be like, Hal, what the fuck are you doing? You just are bleeding, like go to a hospital. But you're getting on a flight going, 6 hours the opposite direction. But I just would love to know, was there just this like instinct, this knowing? What do you think was getting you on that airplane?
I don't know if it was instinct or knowing, in all transparency. I think there's this other part of my self-development work and my training and the 9 lives, previously. I think I've really grown into this idea of having this blind faith. I have a tattoo on my arm that says I refuse to sink. And that's really, I really try to live by that every single day. I think that's what got me on the plane is like, this came to me for a reason. So I'm going to trust, but it doesn't make sense to me. Right. like logically, I'm like, oh, like it wasn't a gut, like, hey, do this. This is going to work. I literally thought I was out of my mind.
Yeah.
But I also trust the universe. Right. So I also know that I don't know all the answers. So I have to try,
I love that. Okay, so you're on the plane, you're trusting the universe, you have this blind faith, you're refusing to sink, as you say. I love that.
Yeah.
So you get into San Diego, what happens next?
So the guy says to me, he was going to send a car for me in San Diego. One of his drivers was going to come aboard and pick me up and drive me across the border so I wouldn't have any problem. I get to San Diego. The guy couldn't pick me up. I got to take an Uber to the border. I've got to walk across. I've done
that walk from San Diego to Tijuana. It's a very interesting, if anyone has never done it before, it's a very interesting dynamic, but you like park in this parking lot and then you can like walk across the border. Is that what you did?
That's exactly what I did. And it was all bizarre to me because I don't know what it was, but they didn't check my passport. I like literally walked in. There's nobody there. It's like certain parts, not to stereotype New York City, but when you're in a New York City subway, there are certain parts that kind of smell like urine or, that are dirty. Like that's kind of what walking through to Tijuana is like. I felt like I was in a New York City subway and they're just waving me through. And I'm like, wait, I'm in Mexico. Like,
you're like, wait, when did this happen? Yeah.
When did this happen? Do you want to see my passport? Do you want to check my bag? Like what's going on? Like, getting back into the US was a different story. But
yeah, they don't care that you're going into Mexico. They care a lot more that you're coming back. It was a hassle for me and James to get back in when we did it back then. But yeah, it is. Okay, so you've walked across.
I
You're
walked
going in.
across.
Okay.
I go in. So like it was just the whole thing was surreal and bizarre. I checked my Uber app. There's an Uber app in Mexico, so I was like, okay, I can get an Uber. But the driver pulls up and he goes, reject the ride, reject the Uber. I'm going to give you a cheaper price.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm like, okay, great. This is what I'm dealing with now. That's cool. Okay, I get it. And then, I'm probably one of the least political people, even though I secretly have political aspirations. That's in the Beautiful Soul series. But I don't really talk politics. But when I got to Mexico, in the US, there's always, for years, there's been this talk about building a wall, building a wall, building a wall. And I don't know enough knowledge about, but I get to Mexico and I'm in this Uber and they're driving up the coast to get to this where he told me to go, which I have no clue where I'm going. I just gave this guy an address and I see this gigantic wall for miles. So my thought is, in addition to I might be dying, is why is everybody fighting over a wall? The wall is here. Like I see this wall, right? So I have these bizarre, like, global thoughts going on in my head, about society and like, why are we fighting? Why are we fighting so much, right? Like the grass on each side of the row of the wall is connected. I could see, it's like the land is one, yet we're fighting tremendously over that. Not to get political, right? But that's the thought in my head in the moment.
I'm actually very political. So I was like, no, I am. I'm not, although like I say, I'm not political. I actually would really like to get back to a place in my life where I'm not political. I just have human interest. Human rights interests is what I say.
Yes,
Anyways,
cool.
That being said, something I just noticed that you said there, and I think it really speaks to you as a person, Hal, and it's a testament to who you are and your energy is in this moment when, again, you're going through this incredibly terrifying situation and something that could be very me, very personal, very I'm in a victim space, and you have this moment where you look out into community, a different community. And I remember that feeling. It's like crossing into a completely different world when you cross from San Diego into Tijuana. It's like you would think it would ease in a little bit more. It doesn't. It's like you went from the outskirts of New York and from the suburbs into like the city out of nowhere. And you're like, oh, this is jarring. And there's stuff everywhere and it's so chaotic. And you take this moment to see this wall and you see it as this moment where you're like, look how much we're fighting. Look how much we still need to be brought together. And I do want to finish the story, but I think it's something that I want to talk to you about, which is your ability to bring community together, which is a part of your impact tour. So let me know, wrap up what you're telling us. I'm invested now. I need to know how this ends. And then I want to transition us to talking about the impact tour.
So the fast version of the story is I meet this guy at a hotel. So the location ends up being at a hotel, right? He comes in with his wife. He goes, let's go out for lunch. He starts telling me the process of how he's going to put the venom in my body, right? So he burns holes up and down my spine, like little cigarette burns with this special stick, and then he drops venom, and the venom is going to cure me. And he's got this whole bunch of stories, track records, very super nice guy, awesome guy. Wife is like he's like the salesperson, and the wife is like, I'm going to take care of you. Like the perfect team, right? Don't worry, we're going to get through it together. And so it was Memorial Day weekend. So he says, go rent a room at this hotel. This is where we're going to meet. So we'll meet for lunch. So I get the last room available in the hotel, which of course was the most expensive room with the view. And I'm like, well, I'm dying anyway. So whatever. I might as well spend it on this hotel room. It's like, I get an ocean view from my
far. You might as well.
I might as well end with like this.
Who knows
really
what this
beautiful
venom's
ocean
about
view.
to do to you?
Exactly. So at the end of lunch, I'm thinking he's going to take me to his doctor's office, right? Because we met at this very specific area, this very specific town. So I'm thinking doctor's office, and I'm wondering in my head, like I'm being all stereotypical. Is it going to be like rusty knives and like this little like weird light that's like blinking out like something from the movies? Oh, it's worse. He goes, okay, we're going to go up to your hotel room now. We're going to do the venom treatment here. So I'm like, okay, well, if he's going to kill me, murder me, it's a much better story than dying from cancer. So like, sure. Blind faith. I'm in Mexico in the middle of nowhere. We might as well go up to my
You might as
hotel
well use
room.
that room you paid for. So
might as well. Next thing I know, I'm in the room. He tells me to take my shirt off. He tells me to lay on my stomach. And then he starts to put the burn thing. And all I can say, it wasn't like I was like high or anything, but there was this sense of calm as the venom seeps into your skin and into your bloodstream, right? So he then leaves. He leaves. He goes, I'm going to give you a call tomorrow, and we'll do a couple more treatments while you're here. I fell asleep, probably a good 12. I was exhausted at that point. I fell asleep. I woke up the next day, no bleeding, no pain, and energy like I was 16 years old. And I was sold. I was like, I'm in. I want more treatments. Yeah. And, and he said, you have to he had a whole science behind, regularity and he said, once the cancer's gone, he goes, you don't really need treatment anymore. He said, you want to come back once a year, just, for, health purposes. So that's what I've been doing. Yeah. I'm still doing the Venom. It's the craziest thing.
And you're still doing it? You're still doing the Venom. That is fantastic.
I'm still doing the Venom. I do it like maybe once every couple of months. He's now refined the process. I don't have to burn it into my skin anymore. I said, you couldn't have refined the process back then. Now it goes through the belly button or under the tongue. I'm like, that would have been a lot better back then. But, I still have, you probably can't see it here, but I have like holes in my hand from burning it into my hand.
It is almost like a cigarette burn, like you said. It's like putting that in there and then putting. Thank you so much for sharing that, because I think, okay, and again, just disclaimer, this is not health advice. No one in here is telling you to forego your bladder surgery and go get snake venom put into your burned holes in your arms. That being said, I think what I take away from this, at least, is that you trusted in something kind of outside of yourself to some extent, right? Like you said, you had this blind faith, and there was still something inside of you that knew, like, I need to trust this thing. I need to go and find alternative resources, whatever that looks like. And so I really love to hear that. And again, as you were talking about before, it was more than just you. You needed your naturopath, your homeopathic healer who helped you find someone who helped you find someone who helped you find someone. And that's the community aspect of all of this. And as you said, I do believe we are in a world right now where we keep dividing and we keep wanting to separate, thinking that that's going to help or heal or do things. And it's breaking my heart, personally speaking. And I agree with you in that aspect of thinking, why are these walls up here? Why is everyone being separated? So something that you are very passionate about is community. And so tell me how you took Whispers in the Rain, this beautiful book and all of the spirituality that's in it, and you thought to yourself, you know what I want to do? Have a 4-day amazing experience. I still can't understand how you went from one to the other. So talk me through it personally. How did this idea evolve? It's
so funny. I don't know how I went from one to the other either, except that my brain is like insane sometimes. I think I'm an observer, right? I think one of the things that really attracted me to Lucky Book Publishing, and I don't know if this is the same for you, because you have a #1 bestseller through Lucky Book Publishing as well, and which I love. I love the fact that from day one of meeting Samar and then Samantha, who run the company, is they're not just money-making machines and pumping out, authors and false promises. They're building community. And I'm an observer, and I was watching, not only do they build community around their authors, which I thought was just this beautiful gift, but the type of authors that they are attracting are people who want to put some kind of message into the world and raise the vibration of the planet through whatever is their message or their gifts, their talents. And that is so aligned to like who I am. I'm always about working with visionary people, people who, are about inspiration. And I always do things outside the box. I always say, people say, oh, you're a social worker and you work in a school. All that's true. And I've run thousands of programs, and I've done, I've written curriculums, and I consult school. I do all that stuff. But education is really just the channel which I do in it, because really what I'm all about is building community and helping people to be the best versions of themselves. Not because I'm the best version of myself, but I believe that we can always elevate, and we can always, be inspired to find that light. And the best way to do that, the best way that's always been for me to do that, is through the tribe that was around me. I rise with my tribe, I fall with my tribe, and we pick each other up, right? And I saw that that's what Lucky Book Publishing was doing. And I have all these years of events and programs, and I was watching other book releases. I was watching other book launches, and I started talking to Samar and Samantha, and I said, I don't want to just a book launch, because that's not who I am. Like, because I remember Samar said to me once, well, people do different things, and your book launch should kind of be like your fingerprint. Like, what are you about? And I was like, well, I love music. That was my first reaction, was I love music, so like, I want my band, I've been in the same band for 28 years, a cover band. That's unheard of in cover music, right? That to be with
for
the same
that
group
long. I cannot wait
long.
to see your band. Just on a side note, I'm so excited to see you do your thing, because again,
Thank
you are a
you.
man of many talents. And
You might not say that after you hear the band.
Considering you usually are this very like grounding like force around me, like I'm very excited to see you up doing like your thing. But yeah, your band is going to be there. They're playing. So the one I'm talking about mainly is the one in New York. Of course, you are also doing one just a couple weeks before in Toronto, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
And your band, it's called Outcast. Is that right?
Outlet.
Excuse me. I'm so sorry.
Outlet. Yes.
Your band Outlet is actually going to be performing both in Toronto and in New York, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
That's so exciting. So yeah.
Yeah. So part of Samar saying, put your stamp on it. I said, what I'm truly about is music and building community. So if I'm going to do a book launch, I don't want it to be about me and my book. I want to bring all authors together. I want to bring storytellers. I want to bring poets. I want to bring visionaries together. And I just want to create an environment where we're all lifting each other up. And that's how we got to, I want to create impact, because to me, it's not about the book or being a number one bestseller. I mean, it's cool. Great. I love that. But I want to be in a space where we're all celebrating each other and lifting each other up. So that's how the Impact Tour started. And then it just grew. It was Toronto and New York. Now there's talks about maybe LA and Florida. I haven't told my band that.
Sorry,
so if they're listening to this.
You come to LA. I got you. I'm so excited. Come over to my world.
Yes.
But I think it's such a testament to who you are, because you take your book and of course in the most Hal fashion, you're like, no, this isn't about me. This is about all of you. And it's like, no, it's about you too, Hal. But like, and it is, but like, this is your book launch. But also that's so much about what your story is about. So much about you is about how much you do love giving back to your community. And one of the things that I really noticed about the Impact Tour is that it's really built around storytelling. And as you can tell, and as everyone else could hear, you're a beautiful, wonderful storyteller. And I just want to know, like, why do you think stories connect with people in a way that like boring facts, and talking at someone doesn't? You're an educator. It just that usually lands flat. Tell me more about why you think storytelling is so important.
We all have a story, right? One of my favorite sayings, and I write about this in the Beautiful Soul series, which is being redone through Lucky Book Publishing.
Fantastic. So I'd wondered if that was going to be the case. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. 100%. And it'll finally be done properly. But one of the things I talk in that book about is how there's always a story behind the story. It's one of my favorite sayings, and that's what I believe. And that's how I walk into every moment, is like, we all have a story. And what we see on the surface, whether it's on a micro or macro level, isn't always what the real story is, and if you can remember that when you're interacting with somebody, is like, there's a reason this person showed up upset or angry or even happy, there's a story behind that story. So like, if you always know that, then you get to get into like a deeper part or a more authentic part of that communication. And I think as I walk into that, I think people relate to that. People relate to that authenticity, and people relate to like, yeah, I want to know you. I genuinely want to know Jenn Noble's story, right? I generally want to know Samantha and Samar's story, like why they, started Lucky Book Publishing, because that's cool. That's all about energy. And we all share that connection, and make it esoteric. Like if we're all connected and we're all one, all of our stories matter. And I think that's why we relate to the storytelling process.
I love that. If we're all connected and we're all one, then all of our stories matter. And I hear underneath everything you're saying, there's like this level of curiosity, of just like a genuine curiosity of like, and that's why I love doing what I do. And I just love having people on to interview them, because I just want to sit here with like a bag of popcorn and be like, just tell me more. Like I want to hear your stories all the time. But if you're out there and you're listening and you are interested in joining any of these, let's talk first about Toronto. When are those ones happening?
So Toronto is June 11th through June 14th.
Okay,
really,
perfect.
really
So
excited.
this podcast will drop on June 10th. So if you are in the Toronto area and you want something to do this weekend, this is the perfect thing for you to go and do. As you guys were saying, you can go to one event, you can go to all of the events, right? It's very much choose your own adventure, choose what you want to be doing. And then on June 18th to the 21st, we will be doing it in New York City.
Yes.
Like genuinely New York City, guys, by the way. This isn't like, oh no, we're actually doing it, in like Albany or something. Some like outskirts of like New York, like people try to claim. We are like dead center. So talk me through a little bit more of that. Thursday, we're having like a networking event or something. Is that right? Or
Yeah,
just
so
like come and say hi.
Toronto and New York is shaping differently. You want me to talk about both or just
Can we,
New York?
Let's talk more about New York, just because
Sure.
that's the one I'm going to. And so any of my listeners, we're more, honestly, we're just here in America. So it's the ones that they might be going to. So talk me through some New York stuff. So I know
New York's gonna be
Thursday,
amazing.
we have our first opener.
Yeah, so Thursday is going to be, for everybody who's coming in, whether you're in New York or you're flying in early, we're going to have a networking dinner, sometimes referred to as a rich relationship dinner, right? Where we get together and we just share and we talk and we eat, we break bread together. We have this really just great experience. But we added a bonus for New York. The first 20 people who RSVP are going to be going to an off-Broadway show that my friend has a nonprofit, Ripple Effect Artist. So we're going to be seeing an off-Broadway show. So Thursday's going to be, you're going to get a little bit of that New York City experience.
That sounds so, I haven't seen that anywhere. This is like literally breaking news for me
breaking
now. I was
news.
like, oh, that'll be so exciting for Can I get in on that, Hal? Because like that sounds amazing.
100%.
I've been like, no, one of the things I've been doing in my New York trip, because I'll be there for a week, but one of the things I'm trying to do is like go see as many shows as possible. I'm a big theater nerd. And so I was looking at our schedule and I was like, ooh, there's maybe nothing going on like Sunday night. Maybe I could squeeze a show in. So it's like, but yeah, that sounds good. I think I see we're eating at Jasmine's Caribbean Cuisine on Thursday for our Rich Relationships dinner. And then, so that's nice. Just a nice, simple, easy Thursday. You're coming in. We're not rushing around. We're not trying to like destroy people's nervous systems while they're here. It's a 4-day event, but it's not packed. Like, I really love the way that you guys have done this. And you could have taken everything you're doing and put it into one day. But instead, I love this exploration where there's time in between, where there's space to just connect with people. It's not go, 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 go. I love that. So, no, go ahead.
And we did that. We did that purposely because those of your guests who have never been, those of your listeners who have never been to New York, there's a stereotype in New York. New York is go, 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 go. And I didn't want people to have that experience coming to New York, right? I was being very conscious of let's go slow and steady and let's really experience New York City like the right way.
I love that. So which I think might bring me to Saturday. I have a quick question for, but let me stop down Friday first. Friday, I see that we're going to get together around noon. This is when some of us authors are going to be doing readings or talks and meet and greets. And so this is a really great opportunity for if you're coming along to, you get to come, you get to meet me, but you also get to meet the wonderful Hal. So many other amazing authors are going to be there. There'll be a panel discussion, and then there's just time to network afterwards. And one of my favorite things about this community and this group is the types of people you're networking with. Listen, I network for a living. And it is a hot difference. It is just completely different when you are networking with authentic, real humans and when you are not. And so
Yeah.
it hits different. And that's what I love about anything it is that we usually do with Lucky Book Publishing is I'm not coming in there and having to kind of put on like my little happy face and be like, oh, hello, how are you? Here's my LinkedIn profile. Although that still happens. It's more, oh my God. So like, tell me about like your life, you know? And if we
Yeah.
get like deep in a way that's really beautiful. So that's on Friday. Then it sounds like really is Friday evening. People kind of choose your own adventure, do your own thing. Cause it sees here like it ends around 4 or 5.
Yeah, it ends around 4 or 5. So there's two options for New York. Many of us are going to be going to the Marriott in Times Square to have dinner. We're doing that because at midnight, our authors, I don't know if this is public information, but I'm going to break it. I'm going to,
Go on.
our authors
We can cut
are
this
gonna,
out later if Sammy comes in as like, Hal,
I might
shut
have to
up.
double check this with Samantha.
You just tell me.
I'll let you know. But our authors who are coming to New York are going to be featured on the billboard in Times Square.
Yes, I do know there's a few of us. I do know that I get one, which is like kind of so amazing. How this is like everything
awesome.
I've been manifesting for so long. I can't believe I've actually been wondering, oh, when are we going to do the billboard thing? So we're thinking about doing it at midnight, like over that.
Yeah, it'll be for 24 hours starting Friday night midnight going to Saturday night midnight. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, really? So
Yeah.
literally that's when it starts and then it goes on the whole time. Oh my gosh, you just gave me chills.
It gets showed like once every
like,
hour. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's like, but that's really cool that, see, again, that's one of those things that you can write a book on your own. I mean, honestly, the amount of information I have now, I could easily self-publish if I needed to. I feel like I've become well too versed in the publishing world. And yet I would never do it on my own because you
Right.
don't get this kind of stuff. You don't get friends and people. I do consider you guys my friends. You're not just my coworkers. Like I consider you people that I've connected with in ways that I don't connect with other people. And to get to share then that big, massive experience with people who get it, that's
Yeah.
such a cool, unique experience. So if you are listening and this is just something you've been thinking about, whether you own your own business or you just want to leave a legacy or you just have a book in your heart that you know needs to get told, like this is the kind of stuff that we want to be going to be able to have those collaborations with people that help us rise. Like you say, and I love that phrase, all boats rise with the tide. But I love lifting other people up too. So that's great. But then on Saturday, I need to talk to you about this, Hal. My nerdiness is getting the best of me. I saw it. But what is this impact race that is going to be happening on Saturday afternoon? That sounds so much fun.
It's going to be amazing. And pun intended, if you remember that television show, The Amazing Race.
Do I remember it? It's one of my all-time favorite shows, Hal. That's what I mean. Like, it is like, I'm a reality TV junkie. So when I saw that you were going to do like an amazing race around New York, I was like, I'm all in. Let's go. I'm competitive. What is this? Let's do it.
I was trying to figure out how can we have a fun New York City experience for our guests and our visitors, our participants with storytelling, that wasn't stressful, right? And I also love The Amazing Race. So we crafted a literary based Amazing Race around New York City so that you would get to see sites you might not even normally go to because everybody goes to the regular sites, right? I wanted people to see really very specific places that they can align. And at each of these places, there will be a challenge that will be presented to you. And you'll get points along the way. And the last stop on The Amazing Race is the billboard. I'll drop that, and you'll have an assignment.
So we'd have an opportunity to see it in the daylight as well, or like in the daytime as well. Oh, that
Exactly.
is so cool. So can I ask, because I've
Sure.
done a couple of these, they have these really cool boxes that you can get. They're like almost like escape rooms, but for cities. My husband loves to give them to us for gifts and stuff because it gives us something to do when we visit different towns. We did one like in Santa Monica, but last fall. It sounds like that. But is this something you and the team created, or is this something that you got from somewhere else? I would just love to know more.
So along the lines with Lucky Book Publishing and Eisenberg Leadership Solutions, this event would not be possible without Stories and Sweets, which Lyric Richards, is the co-founder of
Shout
Stories
out
and
to
Sweets.
Lyric, one of my favorite humans of all time.
100%, right?
Yes.
And I hope that I'm not promoting this the wrong way, but one of the things that Lucky Book Publishing does with the authors is and maybe Jenn, you could say it better than I can, is they don't believe in just releasing a book. They want your book to almost be like a business card, right? So if you want to create a business from your message, you do that. So Lyric created this. She really wanted to create this event company where she got to express herself and express, her book. She wrote this amazing, amazing poetry book, right? And she's just so well spoken, and she's going to be speaking in Toronto and in New York. But she's also this brilliant event coordinator, designer, and she has created a digital platform for the Amazing Race.
She did this? Like Lyric created this
Lyric
digital...
created this digital platform.
Girl, that is amazing.
What she is coming out, she also has, if anybody has questions, you go to the website, like live, like during the event, you can ask questions and it somehow goes to her cell phone, and it's like she could respond right on the website to you. She's a genius, right? So for sure, like her involvement is just making a huge difference. It's really elevating the whole experience for everyone.
That is so fantastic here. I know that Lyric has been doing amazing things with Stories and Sweets, so I really love seeing how much they're connecting. And again, this really is so much about like what Lucky Book Publishing is about, which is really taking your genius, like your level of genius, and then leveling it up in ways that you maybe didn't even expect you could do on your own. I equate Lucky Book Publishing a lot of times to like a mastermind. I mean, if anyone has ever been a part of a mastermind, it's basically what it is you spend so much money per year to be a part of a group that all have different talents and they all just want to lift each other up and rise, except you get that and a book. And so it's so much value for what it is, because so many places like, oh, here, just come with us, write a book, and then they drop you. The fact that like I'm still around, my book came out in October. I mean, Terry Kingston's still around, and she look at everyone doing their stuff, and that's what a lot of this is about. Okay, so Saturday we have the Impact Race, which is going to be so much fun. I love having reasons and excuses to visit different things, and I love hearing that Lyric helped make all of this, which makes me just so proud of her. And then we get a little bit of a break, which again, because you guys are so smart and not wanting to like burn us out. Right. And then we have the evening event, the piece de la resistance of the whole thing, which will be when Outlet is performing around 8 p.m. Then we do a silent auction, some more performances, and some more silent auctions. Tell me what the silent auction is for.
Honestly, the whole entire event, but we're hyper focusing on the silent auction and the concert, because you can buy a separate ticket for the concert, or you can buy the whole event experience. That's right. And the reason we did that is because we thought maybe some people wouldn't want to do the 4 days, but really wanted to come to the concert. And the reason we did it because we were raising money for charities, because, it's community. I can't do anything just, simple. I was like, let's raise some money. Let's find some really good, education-based charities. We found 2 amazing charities in Toronto that do global work that we fell in love with. And so the money that we raise from this event will go to help kids get, education and get support where there needs to be support, which is another whole soapbox, maybe even for another show, because don't get me started on that. I'll tell another long story about transforming education, because
yeah, I'll have you back on. We'll do, because I'm very big into education right now too. So yeah, I should definitely have you back on. So that's again, if you are just thinking, oh, I don't have time for this whole thing, you can get a ticket for just Saturday and just come and have a party with us. Like, it's going to be so much fun, but it's also going to be giving back to community. And again, it's the same concept of networking, of being with people, of like-mindedness, of wanting to really do something in the world. And I think that part's beautiful, and it goes until 12 a.m. It's going to be just an epic night. I completely bypassed this, but I forgot. But on Friday is actually my birthday, by the way.
The band already knows.
No, I love my birthday. In fact, literally last night at like midnight, I run out to the family living room because everyone's still awake. And I was like, you guys, it's my birthday month. And I was just so excited. But I can't wait for Friday as well, like doing the Impact race and doing all that stuff. It's so wild to think that this gets to happen on my birthday, just to make about me for like a hot second. But it feels so cool. And like, I could never have dreamed of anything like this happening. You think you manifest stuff, or you dream stuff, or you pray for things, and then the universe and the God or the world has a way of giving it to you 10 times fold. Like, and I never, because I think we even, if I'm not mistaken, postponed New York was meant to be in May, and then it got bumped. And then when it got bumped, it was my birthday, and I was like, oh my gosh. So I'm sorry that you guys had to bump it, but that was for the universe taking care of me. Thanks, guys.
You know what? I would like to tell the story. We bumped it because we found out it was your birthday.
We
won't talk about all the
okay?
things that went. We'll stick with that version of the story.
It had nothing to do with anything that went wrong. Everything was perfect. It was all for you guys. Just loved me that much. I totally appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Of course, absolutely.
And then on Sunday, we just have like a nice morning with light networking. We've got some yoga, some poetry, some closing reflections. Nothing that's heavy on Sunday because, we're going to have so much fun on Saturday night. And again, that's what makes this event so special. I think in a world where we are on Zoom so much, literally you and I right now are recording this, via, it's great. I love technology. It's amazing.
Sure.
I also have just been missing those in-person experiences with people, which does just hit your nervous system different. In fact, there's like research out there recently that's even talking about how our different like synapses in our brains, our neurons in our brains are wiring differently when we are connecting with people in person versus online. And so again, I'm not knocking tech at all because without tech, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. And I love Zoom and it's amazing for me to get in contact with people. But it just means that we need to make a little bit extra intention to spend those moments in person with people who fill us up, people who light up our hearts. Yes,
yeah, I was reading.
Exactly.
I was reading an article recently. Sorry.
No, please.
That was. I don't want to quote the article incorrectly, but the basis of the article was with the advancement of AI, with the advancement of technology happening so fast that within the next 3 to 4, maybe 5 years, human connection is actually going to increase. The desire for human connection is going to be increased. We're eventually going to get tired of this. And I love this. I love being able to talk to people in other countries with the snap of my finger. And it makes, it's a small world after all concept. I love that. But I also love meeting people face to face. It's a different energy when you're face to face. So I know as long as I'm alive, I'm going to continue to create, moments like we're doing for the Impact Tour so that we can have face-to-face. And I'm also going to continue to make it affordable because, I know when a lot of people hear, oh, you're doing this big thing, blah, 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 this must be really, really expensive. It's not,
No, it's not at all. Like, it's ridiculously attainable. Like, yeah. If anything, I was like, y'all need to be charging more for this shit. What are we like? No, but because but that's not who you are, right? You're not out here to make money. You're out here to create community. Like, you're out here to create events, to share your book, to share your story, to share your message. And then, having that be what it needs to be in order to get it going, of course, but not to just like, hey, I don't know if you remember some back in the day, there was these big events they would do where you'd come and be a part of like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, thousands of dollars or whatever, and you show up and it's like a warehouse with like a folding table in it. That is not you.
No, not at all. Not at all.
No, not at all. Exactly.
A 4-day pass.
But it's so true. And I think I equated it to this way. And then I'll wrap us up here because I know we've gone long. But thank you so much for staying on with me. And thank you for everyone who's still listening because I think this is such an important conversation. But I equate it to this a lot of times. For so long in our world and our society, we naturally got movement because we were out there, whether it be farming land or walking far to get to our jobs. We didn't have cars, right? We had just a very natural way in which we moved. And so we were healthier because of that. But in today's world, we have to be a little bit more intentional about our movement. So we have gyms and we have workout classes and we have Zumbas and we have, yoga classes. And we do these things together because we realized once we built up technology that kind of took that out of our lives naturally, we had to be a little bit more intentional about doing it and getting our leg days in and, wanting to get a personal trainer. The same thing is going to happen with connection and community and our relationships that we're building with one of, me, I'm a relationship coach. So like, this is what I'm going to talk about, but it means we're going to need to be a little bit more intentional with our relationships, meaning we want to plan a little bit more. It's not going to come as natural. It's not going to be as organic. And that can be something we grieve and get frustrated about. I absolutely understand. But that is what technology and advancement in our society does. It brings some aspects of our life easier. So I could be having this beautiful conversation with Hal while we're on complete opposite ends of the country. And at the same time, it just means, okay, I need to make sure when I show up that I get a nice big hug, that I spend time looking at you when I'm talking, that I take my phone down. And that's no different than, like, we're going to be talking about this one day, 10, 15 years, but it won't be leg day, right? It'll be like nervous system day, or it'll be like laughter day. Like, oh, hey, I haven't got my laughter in for the week. Let me get this in.
I love
and that's
that.
okay. That's an okay way to look at the way we want to be changing and shifting as we're moving forward. What do you have to say about that? What comes up for you?
Oh my God. So much comes up to me. I'm just like stuck on laughter day. Like, yes.
For me, all days are laughter day. I could always have it. Like, I'm addicted.
Yeah, I think connection, is so important. I think really being conscious about building those type of relationships in your life are also very, very deeply important, because you're a relationship coach, and I think we're gonna be craving that. I'm craving it now, right? And I love my tribe. My tribe is like everything. I think meeting people like face to face, to bring this full circle, I think what's coming up to me is like, if I had to pick one thing that really cured the cancer, well, it was my relationship with myself for sure, learning how to love myself, but it was also the relationships around me, right? The connection, the community, the tribe, the messages, the love, even the tough lessons, people that I've lost along the way, people that I found along the way, I think those are very, really important, authentic things that we need to embrace as human beings, right? Like, we can't live on AI and Zoom. They're great tools, great critical thinking tools if you use it the right way. But I think we equally need this human connection for sure.
And completely agree. And what we're doing with the Impact Tour is both a time to pause, right? As you said, it's an experience and a time to pause in a world we're moving so fast, and a time to connect. And sometimes we have to pause in order to connect, right? We can't be connecting if we're going a mile a minute everywhere else. So I love that so much. But go on.
I was going to say, and connecting to me is also celebration, right? So that's another thing the Impact Tour is about. Like, I get to celebrate who you are as a relationship coach. I get to celebrate your book. I get to celebrate the fact that you're willing to get on a plane and come to New York to be part of this experience. And there are people flying to Toronto and people coming in from all over the place, from all over the world, and we get to connect in the same room. Like, I get to celebrate that. That, to me, there's no price on that. It's priceless.
I love that. I want to end on that, the celebration, the connection, the conversation. And thank you for such a beautiful conversation today, Hal. It really means so much. And thank you for reminding us all just the power of listening to our bodies, listening to the universe, and slowing down, and just really deeply connecting with our stories, and using that story, as you so beautifully showed us, as a way to connect with others, as a way to get to those levels of depth that maybe we can't get to otherwise. And if you are out there listening and today's conversation resonated with you, then I want to make sure that you go and check out Hal's book, Whispers in the Rain. You can grab it on Amazon or wherever books are sold. And then you can learn more about the Whispers in the Rain Impact Tour. I will add all of the links in the show notes. That way we don't have to worry about trying to remember anything right now. I will put them all in the show notes. You guys can click right there. Please come out and join us. It is going to be so much fun. Thank you so much for spending this time with us. And I will speak with you all next week. Thank you so much, Hal. Take care.
Thank you for having me.